Hey Wolfpack, as many of you probably heard, yesterday American astronaut Neil Armstrong passed away, and when I heard this news I got sad. I got really sad, like far more sad than I should have been when hearing the news about someone that I didn't actually know passing away. I guess he was someone that we all knew his name, we all knew that Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon, was kind of a living legend, but of course I didn't know him personally. I got the chance to meet Buzz Aldrin a couple times, the second man on the moon, so I could kind of have a direct relation to him, but Neil Armstrong is just somebody who I read about in history books, somebody that I kind of always knew existed, and he doesn't exist anymore. So I wanted to take today's vlog and sort of talk about that idea and why I think his passing hit me so hard. As I said, Neil Armstrong was a person. He was a great example of being a good person, but he was also more than that. He was a legend. His name sort of inspired awe. And I think his death reminds us of what we have left unaccomplished. In the 1960s, in less than 10 years, we went from putting a man into space to putting someone on the surface of the moon. We went to the moon and we left and we never went back. And I think there was a spirit of adventure and exploration that we've lost now. For all intents and purposes, manned spaceflight is on hold right now, and while I think it's incredible that we just sent a giant robot to Mars to shoot lasers at things and figure out if there is or was life on Mars at any point, there's something incredibly special about putting a human into space and shooting them in a rocket to another planet, to another world, and having them send back pictures and images and words. They're able to come back and speak to us about what it was like to be on another planet. There's something utterly fantastic about that, and that's something that as a culture and as a planet, I think we've lost. So Neil Armstrong, the man, but also the idea, reminds us of a dream deferred, reminds us of what we could have been, what we could still be. Those ideas of the future of the 2000s were something very different in the 1960s, and I think that a lot of us have sort of given up on those dreams, on those ideas, for a plethora of reasons, but the idea of this man, at least for me, embodied the concept of human adventure and exploration, and the idea that we can push ourselves further than we think is possible. Now, you know me, and I'm kind of a nut for space. I mean, pictures on my wall, that's the wall around my bed. I'm pretty into space. But I think there's something wonderful about pushing ourselves past the boundaries of our world into the unknown, into the final frontier. On July 20th, 1969, when Neil Armstrong stepped off the lunar excursion module onto the surface of the moon, his boot left an imprint, a footprint. And there's no wind on the moon. So those footprints left by those astronauts will never, ever erode and never change. And I hope our memory of that spirit of adventure and the spirit of exploration that Neil Armstrong embodied also never fades. The Armstrong family released a statement saying, "The next time you walk outside on a clear night and see the moon smiling down at you, think of Neil Armstrong and give him a wink." I hope that you all do that. And until I see you next, be brilliant.